Dear Melissa, I know that sometimes you're also talking about pricing. As I often develop our own internal tool landscape, I'm increasingly noticing how SaaS providers are moving away from clear, comprehensible pricing towards a wild combination of modules, user based pricing, and additional prices resulting from the options. I remember it differently from 2 to 3 years ago, and I'm very reluctant to use such a tool at times like this. Of course, this also affects my own internal point of view regarding pricing. What are your thoughts on this kind of friction? Well, like I said, very relevant to what we're going to be talking about today. But here's my thoughts when it comes to all of these different pricing strategies that we're seeing in SaaS right now. I get what you're talking about. Sometimes there are companies out there that have 20 different options that you can choose from. It's like mix and matching, putting them all together. And it's very, very confusing to the user. One, I think this can be a symptom of people not understanding what their customers want, right? Pricing actually takes a huge amount of user research to understand what the value is to your users, how they use your product, and what they want to get out of it. When you're taking a spray and pray approach, where you're not focusing on your core users, you don't understand your customer segmentation, you're trying to target everybody, you're probably going to be like, hey, let me just give them all the different options and see what they do. And I think this is what a lot of companies fall into when they're giving you, 20 to 40 different options to create your own SaaS subscription. That's not what most users want. They don't want to pay for every little tiny add-on. They want something that is in a nice package that produces the value for the type of thing they're looking at. So to me, when I see something that has way too many options, I'm thinking that they don't understand their core users. They don't have great focus on a core customer persona or market or segment or whatever they are that they're targeting. And instead, they're just trying to throw a bunch of stuff out there and see what works. That's not a great strategy. You want something that's very clear to users. I like the transparency behind actually showing people what they're going to pay before you get into the product, or so you don't have to call salespeople, which drives me nuts personally. And I think the transparency there is key. That's definitely a value component that you could have, but you want to make sure that your options are tailored to your customers and that there's a few options, not 47 for them to actually choose from. So that's what I would be thinking about when I see this. I also think that there are a lot of people out there who copy pricing models that they've seen from other SaaS companies or from other businesses in the realm. And they're not doing it thinking about what kind of value do we want to hone in on and what can actually differentiate us. So if you're just doing a typical per seat license that's like per month, per user, are you really thinking about how that scales? Are you thinking about what happens if those people leave? Are you pricing it for the actual value that your product is delivering? That's what you have to think through in those cases. I've seen some products out there that are doing really interesting things with pricing. Dovetail is one of the ones that I actually like. So what Dovetail does is they are a user research aggregator. So you can put all your user research into it. It's a repository and you can share it with everybody else in the company. And to get into large businesses, if you went with a traditional SaaS model, you can think about it where you'd have to buy seats for everybody in your 5,000 person, 10,000 person, 40,000 person company. A lot of large companies don't want to do that. So what Dovetail did is said, hey, actually, we have different types of users. We have the user researchers and the product managers and the people editing. So they put the user research in there. Let's charge a premium for their seats, and then let's make it free for everybody else to just view. And in that case, you're now appealing to a lot larger companies because they can see themselves scaling with it. And they're recognizing the value that people get as viewers and that they get as editors and how to actually make that work. So I thought that was a really interesting way to do that. Whereas a lot of other people or businesses rather would be looking at that and saying, no, if we have like 8,000 viewers, we just need to charge for it. I think Figma does this as well. They let you view for free on other people's Figma things. And then if you want to be an editor, you have to start paying for it. Great way to start thinking about how do you actually scale that value and how do you actually go up market as well to help with that scale. So there's a lot of different strategies you can think of out there for pricing. It doesn't have to just be per seat, per month, money. And we are going to talk about that in depth in this episode.